Hello again. I recently released this public service announcement about the plight of poor homeless thrift store Bibles that perhaps you've seen, and if not, go and watch it. Um, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to announce a significant change um, because even though the video is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to announce this major change and let you all know that, as you can see by my poor handwriting, the name Thrift Store Bibles has just come available on YouTube, and I want to announce here to you all first, moving about and manipulating objects will now be known as Thrift Store Bibles. Of course, I'm joking, but in case you didn't see, Thrift Store Bibles is now going by the name Miserable Offender, which I think is hilarious and perfect. So, just joking about changing my name, but why do I have the name Moving About and Manipulating Objects? I don't have a good answer to that, other than that was a phrase that was in a training manual, a policy manual for an employer that was kind of in the industry of vocational rehabilitation. I don't want to get into too much detail, but an employer that I was working on, and one of the chapter subheadings in the policy manual was called Moving About and Manipulating Objects, and that phrase has just stuck with me. And when I started a YouTube channel, and I didn't yet know, and I still kind of don't know what the channel was going to be for, I thought pretty much everything can be reduced to moving about and manipulating objects, because internal kinds of intellectual things don't really translate well on video. Even by just talking, I'm manipulating the air and sound waves and such. But anyway, so what's the point of my channel? If you've been watching any of them up to this point, it's kind of random. I just made it to talk about the things that I like to talk about. So I never have felt comfortable asking people to subscribe or like or share. I've never done that in any of my videos, and I don't plan to start. Mostly I talk about the things that are of interest to me, which may or may not be of interest to anyone else. So it's okay if you dip in here and there in the subjects that happen to interest you. I tend to focus a lot of attention on thrift store Bibles, prayer books, the history of the prayer book. Those are things that I think about a lot, so they tend to show up a lot in my videos. Also, radio, shortwave radio, AM radio is something I enjoy. Collecting pencils, collecting manual typewriters. Probably will end up talking a little bit about that at some point. So I appreciate you stopping by. I'm not going to ask you to click anything or do anything other than, if it's of interest to you, watch those things that are of interest to you. Okay, but then just a brief word about that public service announcement. I wasn't trying to mock anyone in particular. I just was being a little silly about Bibles you can find in a thrift store, and I do that knowing that the fact that there are people that are willing to spend lots and lots of money on their Bible collection, their premium Bibles, and their every new edition that comes out, that's what allows me to find the Bibles that I find in thrift stores. So I appreciate those people, and I'm not going to mock them. If that's where your joy is, buying the latest edition of the newest premium Bible, that's awesome. Keep donating your old Bibles to thrift stores. And I mean, if I ever saw a Skylar or an Allen or whatever's the hip new premium Bible is. If I saw one of those in a box at a thrift store for $10, you bet your sweet bippy I'd be walking out with that. So um, good for you people. Just keep donating to your local thrift so that I can find them. Speaking of which, here's one that I found just by way of example several months ago. That was at my local thrift for I think maybe $2 if I remember, and it's in beautiful shape. It's a Spirit-Filled Life Bible, New King James Version, Nelson. This I believe is the first edition of this Bible, which is a pretty popular Bible. It was designed as a study Bible basically for those of a more charismatic or Pentecostal bent, and which I am not. Although I'm a member of the Church of the Nazarene, which when it got its start was the Pentecostal Church of the Nazarene, but I think we've squeezed every last bit of Pentecostalism out of the denomination. We can't even clap in unison at our church, so not much Pentecostal or charismatic going on there. But still, this is a really neat Bible. I'm glad I found this. Like I said, it's in great shape. I did find a few places where somebody's highlighted, but very few. It's, a fake leather print board, but nice gold on the spine there, some raised hubs pressed into this board. It appears to be, from what I can see, a sewn binding, but it's hard to tell. I can see a little bit of glue, but I do see individual signatures, so I'm going to say that's probably a glued binding. And y'all are probably pretty familiar with this particular Bible, so I'm not going to belabor the point too much, other than to, again, say this is the type of thing you can find at your local thrift, if you're lucky and if you're so inclined and don't need the latest, newest ostrich skin, whatever, edge stitching, whatever the thing is people are willing to spend money on. This is a 1991 Spirit-Filled Life Bible, Thomas Nelson, so I think it is a first edition. Has a, I'm not a huge fan of study Bibles, first of all. I prefer to keep my commentary and such and study resources separate from the scripture itself. But that's just me. So if you like to have it all in one, study Bibles are your thing. This is a pretty neat one. The word wealth sections that are throughout here. Later editions of this are in color, but this one's all black and white. It has these sections called word wealth, and it's basically they expound upon a word found in the scripture. I don't have that focused very well. So in that case, a little tiny paragraph on the word son, and it is keyed to the Strong's Concordance. So you can look it up in your Strong's if you want to do a little extra research. There are also these sections they call Kingdom Dynamics, which are kind of a chain link system as well. So on various subjects having to do with the passage where you find it, and then you can follow the chains to learn more about that particular subject. It's pretty well done. It's not the highest quality paper in the world. There's some ghosting, but it's not so much that it would be bothersome to me. There are these black and white maps throughout, and at the end some color maps. Standard Nelson fare. There's a concordance in the back, which again, the word wealth sections are keyed to Strong's, so you can use your Strong's concordance if you want to do that. The references in the middle, and then good footnotes on every page. A lot of footnotes. It's a red letter edition, as you can see, which is not my preference, but it's not too bad. It's a nice, almost a burgundy. So, pretty cool Bible as far as, New King James is not my preferred translation, and study Bible isn't normally my thing, but this one I might hang on to because it's a pretty well done edition, and people seem to like this Spirit-Filled Life Bible. So I'm going to spend some more time getting to know this, and maybe I'll report back at some point. But kind of like it. Also, speaking of Strong's, at the same Thrift, there's no date in this, but this looks like an old one, an old Strong's. Hebrew, Chaldean, Greek dictionaries. Now this is for the King James, but I mean you can use the numbering system is the same. So if you find the Strong's number in this study Bible, you can read its equivalent here. So pretty cool to have. I think this was, again, $2 maybe. And I wish there was a date in it because it looks like an old Strong's, but I don't know when they started making the Strong's Concordance. The language in the introduction is very dated, so yeah, it's an old one. Anyway, so just wanted to bring kind of an example of the types of things that all those people that collect the fancy Bibles, they allow me to have a little fun finding their cast-off Bibles, and this is a nice one. So anyway, thanks for joining me for this kind of all over the place version of moving about and manipulating objects. And go check out Thrift Store Bibles, who is now Miserable Offender, which is a terrific name. I wish I thought of it first. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again next time.